Living in Sarasota. That is the topic of today's video. First, let me say that it is incredible to be able to live in Sarasota, and a lot of the things that I love are here. So in this video, I'm going to tell you the pros and cons in living in this absolutely beautiful city. Some of the best Cuban and Colombian food that I have found in the state of Florida. That's definitely a plus for me. Sarasota is also a very welcoming place. This was when I first moved to Sarasota. I went to a Ferrari's downtown event, and there was this gentleman, and he just grabbed this little African American kid, and he put the kid inside his Ferrari and let him take all the photos he wanted. Told the kid to stay in school and do the best he could, and he could have a Ferrari one day. I like that because I feel like here in Sarasota, race doesn't matter as much as in other places. Everybody here is loving and welcoming, and I really feel like in Sarasota, I'm not being judged for who I am, and everybody just loves everybody and is having a good time. It's a very affluent place, and with that affluence, it's a little bit difficult to have self-control and know your boundaries because you're constantly surrounded by wealth, opulence, shopping, and expensive dining. While these things are really fun, they can definitely drain your bank account in no time. And I think one of the biggest downsides that I have found about living in Sarasota is that I'm spending more money than I have ever thought imaginable. I don't live right on the beach, so the commute to the beach is about 45 minutes each way. So if I plan to go to the beach, it usually takes quite a while. And unfortunately, since I've moved in here, the red tide has been consistent, but the vibes are still pretty good. And I will be honest, I miss the hood vibes of Fort Myers, going to Palm Beach Boulevard, the nightlife in Fort Myers. There's so much that I miss about Fort Myers, and Sarasota has been able to fill in a lot of that void. It's a beautiful, clean city. You always feel safe here. I don't think I recall a single moment in Sarasota where I haven't felt safe. So safety, if that's important for you and your family, this is just an incredible, clean, safe city. It's almost on par with something like San Diego, California. It really is one of the best places that you could live. You have this clean, beautiful city, and then you also have nature. You have so many different things that you could do. It's hard to get bored here in Sarasota. With all that said, I really miss Fort Myers. While Sarasota's clean, safe, and elegant, there was something about the hood vibe in Fort Myers that made me feel at home. And while it's definitely beautiful and scenic, there are times where I feel, pretty much empty inside. It just seems like a vast majority of these suburban areas, while beautiful, are also kind of soulless. You ever find yourself shopping or spending money or going out to dinner simply because you have nothing else to do? That's definitely not a good feeling, and you're going to end up spending a lot more money in Sarasota. And it almost sounds like, despite all the beauty that this city has to offer, that I feel a little bit down and depressed. But keep in mind, I've gone through a lot, from going through the experiences in Alabama, moving here after Hurricane Ian. I just need some time to heal. And I'm really glad that Sarasota's been here for me to kind of give me peace of mind, calmness, tranquility, and safety that I've needed after so much turmoil in my life. And it genuinely feels like Naples and Fort Myers to me, from the wildlife to the fishing, the vibes. To a large extent, it feels very much like home to me to be here. But I do get frustrated to think that to actually own a home here would cost more than I could ever afford. And sometimes I feel really frustrated, and I feel like I'm really like a shrimp fighting against the current. Like, I'm never going to actually be able to obtain my goals of home ownership again because I'm just so caught up in a temporary lifestyle that's in front of me that I can't really focus on long-term goals. How am I ever going to get ahead when I'm spending so much money in restaurants, shopping, and amenities? When I get bored and go shopping or just spend the day by the beach instead of working, it feels like eventually I'm just working myself to death. And living in Sarasota with its extraordinarily expensive price tag is forcing me to work more than I really want to. It's really not fun anymore. It just feels overwhelming. I really do think that the expensive price tag associated with living in Sarasota, all the shopping, all the dining, is just bleeding us dry. I've never really cared too much for decorating my home, but the place that we're renting now is borderline luxury apartment, so I've found myself spending a lot more money even decorating the house, things that in the past I really didn't care about. So I feel like I'm trying to keep up a lifestyle that is almost impossible for my means. And sometimes I wonder if I'm driving myself to be more productive and to give me and my wife better things, or if I'm just burning myself out to obtain something that's almost unobtainable. At this point, I don't really know. I love what I'm doing here in Sarasota, and I just feel like there isn't that connection that I had with Naples and Fort Myers. Maybe I haven't created enough memories yet for this place to be meaningful to me. Maybe I'm working on it as we speak. I find that compared to living in Fort Myers, it's so much more practical. The access to healthcare, the access to restaurants, the access to highways that are more fluently trafficked. I mean, it's not a gridlock. They actually planned out Sarasota better. The Lakewood Ranch suburban area where I live, they actually put in the roads first and the buildings later, so traffic here flows very smoothly. And yeah, it is gridlocked during rush hour, but I mean, come on, it's a big city in Florida. You almost expect that, but I do feel like it's not as bad as it could be. I feel that sometimes Sarasota has been really good for us and helping us like achieve our full potential and helping us realize that we can do incredible things with our life if we work really hard. There's no doubt that the day-to-day living here is so much more practical than Fort Myers. There's more Publixes, there's more Starbucks, there's more gas stations. Everything's more accessible. Like when we lived in Fort Myers, we had a huge commute just to get to a Publix. Here, they have a Publix every 4 minutes, and I'm not even exaggerating. As far as the practicality of living here, it's difficult to find a place more strategic if you're just trying to live in a city and get things done within a reasonable time frame. Easy access to Tampa, easy access to Orlando. Whether heading north or south within a day trip, there's probably dozens of beaches you can do in a single day. The options for beaches and outdoor activities are incredible. And if you feel like you're overwhelmed by the city, you can head inland to Wauchula or Arcadia and go to a small town and just unwind there. This place really is almost perfect. Being closer to Tampa, a larger metropolitan area, gives you distinctive advantages of living in a place like Naples or Fort Myers, where you're hours away from a larger metro. There's no shortage of jobs in this area, and if one thing doesn't work out, there's always another way to supplement your lifestyle here if you're not afraid of working hard. Can't say that in a place like Fort Myers or Naples, where you're almost stuck living in a place like Lehigh and commuting. Trust me on this, you're better off paying $2,000 in Sarasota than $1,500 in Fort Myers or Lakeland or another place that isn't as nice. I wouldn't say it's worth it in a place like Palm Beach where now rents are reaching $3,000. And I think another con of Sarasota is that I feel that it's going to get to that $2,500 to $3,000 mark for a one bedroom like it has in other parts of Florida, like Miami and West Palm Beach. I'm almost certain Sarasota is going to hit that level. The fact that they're actually bringing in the infrastructure as Lakewood Ranch continues to grow eastward and meet up with some of the suburbs of Tampa is a good indication that despite the fact the area is growing tremendously, it hasn't created a bottleneck of traffic here because they're planning ahead. A lot of areas in Florida haven't done that, but the central part of Florida has done a better job than the southern part of Florida in putting in that vital infrastructure. I haven't been here the entire year, but so far there's like a 7 to 10 degree temperature difference between here and Fort Myers and Naples, like 12 degrees. And that is so much more comfortable. Like Sarasota's like the last place to ever get snow, but still close enough to where it gets cold enough to snow. So I feel like the weather here is very appropriate. It's just those few degrees difference over Fort Myers really make a difference in your comfort. There's a lot more education here in this area, more schools, more young professional people either already working or preparing to work by studying. And I feel like the outlook for the average young person here is much more productive than somebody in Fort Myers. There seems to be a bigger focus on education here. A lot of students, and even I've considered taking advantage of some of the schools that are here, with education and healthcare and housing being more accessible to a regular working class person, decent housing at that. I feel like Sarasota really gives people opportunities who are young versus in Fort Myers where all there is a commute back and forth for a construction job. I can really see more possibilities here. There's no doubt that this is a top quality place to live. You go downtown, people are dressed elegantly, people are friendly, they're happy, they're healthy, they're walking a dog, they're riding a bicycle, they're going out on the beach. It's a city where people are very healthy, very much focused on education, just outgoing, happy, healthy people. It seems like people here are really trying to do something with their lives, really trying to enjoy their lives. Whereas I used to look at Sarasota as a really snobby place where people were just out of touch with reality. Now that I spend some time here, I just see that people are just trying to live their best lives and be the best version of themselves possible. I feel like living here, there's really no limits on what I can do with my life. Everything that I need, every tool is accessible, and not only can you enjoy the life you're getting, but you're also able to kind of look forward, make goals, and reach out for whatever it is you're trying to do with your life. So while I recognize that the hood rattery that I was enjoying in Lehigh Acres and Fort Myers, driving ATVs at night and hanging out on Palm Beach Boulevard, was enjoyable to do hood rat stuff with my friends, I also recognize that putting myself in that environment isn't the best thing for me. And I think one of the toughest things about living in Sarasota is that I look and I seek out that environment and I just can't find it. Like, I want to do hood rat stuff with my friends, but all my friends are going to school or working or trying to live a productive life. Friday night here is pretty much uneventful. I know that back in Fort Myers, Friday night, you're waxing up the wheels. You're either riding the ATV all night through Lehigh or you're hanging out on Palm Beach Boulevard till 2 in the morning. None of that hood rattery is happening here in Sarasota. And sometimes I feel like there's a void inside. Like, I just feel like I need to do more hood rat stuff. I enjoy the beaches and stuff during the daytime, but when it comes to nightlife here, it just seems very mellow and toned down, and I'm never afraid of getting shot or stabbed or anything like that here. I also feel that the expense that I've brought upon myself to live here has prevented me from spending money on hood rat stuff like wheels and big trucks and stuff that I had in Fort Myers. I know that to keep up this lifestyle here, I have to be more measured because it's definitely much more money to rent, much more money to live. So I have to manage myself a little bit better and have more discipline. And just all that mixed together, I feel like I enjoy the quality of life, but the price tag that it comes with, safe, clean places, are not always fun, exciting places. It was really nice having that excitement closer to home where I lived before in Fort Myers. In Sarasota, I'm in a better spot, but man, do I miss the hood rattery of Palm Beach Boulevard at 2 in the morning. So far, the red tide's been persistent the whole time I've been here, so I haven't really been able to even go swimming in the beach. That also kind of feels pretty crappy. However, for my road trips, being like 2 hours further north is so much more advantageous. Not only when I come back from road trips, but I'm going to depart on a road trip. Just being further into Florida is so much better. Like, living in South Florida, you need like a whole day just to get out of South Florida. And in Sarasota, I'm able to get into like Atlanta with a 7-hour drive if I want to leave the state of Florida. And that's like another advantage of being this far north. It's really like the perfect place to live in Florida. Geographically, Jacksonville could have been it, but there's too much crime. Orlando in the center of the state could have been it, but there's too much traffic and congestion. Sarasota is just about right in all the categories. they have allowed and they've planned for proper growth in Sarasota. In Naples, they've been preventing every single project. Right now in Matlacha, they're fighting to keep out a car dealership. Like, who gives a crap if they want to put up a car dealership? Half the time you're smelling red tide anyways. It's not like there's any beaches in Matlacha, but they're fighting back about a car dealership. In Sarasota, they don't have all those stupid games. They're not letting the old people hold back progress like they have in Naples. You literally have a skyline. You literally have huge roads that are being built in all directions. In Naples and Fort Myers, they haven't planned for the infrastructure, and when something comes about that's good for the people, the old people get in the way and say, we don't want that. So now you're in a situation where if you live in Fort Myers, you have no access to new hospitals. You have no access to roads that are clear. You have access to absolutely nothing down there. It's like every time they think about doing something good for the people, to have something to do, the old people come by, no, you can't do that. And they don't allow growth. Like, look at this beautiful place we call Sarasota. We have big, clean highways. We have a beautiful skyline. We have incredible beaches. And you can actually get around and enjoy all of it. Where in Southwest Florida, every time they think about a new construction project, the old people get in the way and stop them from doing it. You wouldn't believe how many massive investments companies have wanted to put into Naples and Fort Myers, and they had to back off because when they started pulling permits, people started complaining and they stopped the progress. That doesn't happen here in Sarasota. And at the end of the day, we're getting all types of really useful companies, buildings put in here in this area. It's like everywhere you look in Sarasota, there's growth going on, but there's nobody getting in the way of that progress. But then you look at a place like Southwest Florida, where they're preventing these investments from going in, but then they've put houses in Golden Gate Estates and Lehigh Acres, which is the more sensitive environmental areas, have been destroyed with single-family home construction. But that's it. They haven't built roads. They haven't built restaurants and things to do. The only thing they've built is single-family homes. It makes absolutely no sense. One of the beautiful things about suburban Sarasota, where I live now, is that you have a balance between nature, new construction, restaurants, businesses, Publixes, and then like in the middle of all this suburban sprawl, there's schools, there's universities, there's all types of things going on in the suburban sprawl. Little town centers that have nice restaurants and bistros. If you live in the Golden Gate Estates or Lehigh Acres further down into Florida, all you're getting is single family home construction, nothing else. When Naples and Fort Myers get filled in, it's going to be a Miami Lakes. It's going to be a Hialeah because the only thing they've put in is houses. No infrastructure, crowded roads. Naples and Fort Myers are on their way to being the next Hialeah. But the best thing about Sarasota is that all the people that were complaining about the growth and development are already gone to other places. And us civilized folks and our beautiful Sandhill Cranes, who also enjoy the affluent things of life, can enjoy our lakeside suburban communities in peace without listening to old people complain about how we ruined Florida. And I just want to remind everybody in Southwest Florida, whether it's Naples, Fort Myers, that it's plotted for single family homes just like Hialeah. You're waiting to become a Hialeah. And the other thing that I love is that even between all of this suburban sprawl, I can find little creeks and lakes. And let me remind you again, the amazing Latin food. Some of the best Cuban and Colombia's restaurants that I have found in the entire state of Florida are right here in Sarasota. I'm really falling in love. All right, guys, there it is. That's what it's been like to live in Sarasota. So far, I have really enjoyed living in this beautiful, clean area. I just wish it had a little bit more fiber and character to it. No place is really perfect, but the package that you get in Sarasota is hard to beat. And I laugh now because I see videos from people like The World According to Briggs on 10 reasons everybody's moving to Sarasota. I'm like, hey, wave my hand. Here I am. I did it. Other than the lack of real solid character, this place has very few faults. Sure, we don't have plies. There's no good soundtrack to driving through Sarasota. Did you know that in the speeding music video that Rick Ross did with R. Kelly, the vehicle at the beginning of the video had a Sarasota license plate that said boss? If you don't believe me, look it up. Plies and Kodak Black did a song together where Plies mentions something about Bradenton, but his English is pretty much, well, it's unintelligible. So if you are a avid speaker of faux hood rattery, if you could please explain to me what the crap Plies was saying when he said something about Bradenton. Hey, little mama, I got you all in Bradenton, dawg. So if anybody knows what that means in English, please let me know. And don't forget, if you want to make a donation to our extravagant lifestyle, please I invite you to make a super chat of Super Sinks on our channel. If you know any decent references to Sarasota in music, arts, movies, please let me know. I know Fort Myers has been featured in several episodes of Cops. That's pretty meaningful. The Bradenton chief of police said that YouTubers should get a real job. I'm not really pleased about that. I think it's a real job. I've been in front of this computer for hours today. He was referring to a YouTuber that gets in a lot of trouble with his videos, but I don't think the terminology referring to YouTubers not working hard is appropriate. A lot of people think, oh, you just upload these videos. Like, dude, this is my third video today. Look at how many individual video clips each one of my videos has taken. I've had to download, edit, audio, crop, process, upload, and then publish 3 videos today. If you think this isn't a real job, then I guess being in front of a computer for 13 hours a day must not be real. YouTubing is a real job. You just don't want to get arrested in the process. I watched some of this Sarasota prankster YouTuber guy on YouTube. So people are like, oh, this guy is famous YouTuber. He's a prankster. Go check out his stuff. I go out and check it out. I think a lot of the work he does is absolutely hilarious. The fact that he's got arrested while doing it a few times or once or twice seems like, you should just kind of know if you have millions of subscribers to hire a lawyer and make sure that whatever you're doing is not illegal. If anybody watching knows what YouTuber I'm talking about, he's like a huge YouTuber out of Sarasota, please comment his name because I totally forgot. I think it's called Blog Creations. I like the guy's video. They're funny. The guy just needs to figure out how to not get arrested while doing YouTube videos. Nothing like moving into a city, turning on the news for the first time, and watching the police chief of that city telling YouTubers to get a real job. I was like, oh no. I'm not on the good side of the law. Like, what the crap did I do? But it wasn't my fault. It was another YouTuber. But yeah, it's a little disappointing to listen to the police chief of where you currently live say that your job isn't a real job. So when I get my W whatever in the mail this year, I guess since it's not a real job, I don't have to pay taxes. Oh no, I do have to pay taxes. Oh, I guess it's a real job, isn't it? But I'll stick to recording beaches and steaks and stuff. I'm not looking to get arrested. I was even thinking about maybe going to one of those press conferences for the media, but I guess as a YouTuber, I don't have a real job, so I won't have any business going to those things. No, I'm just editing videos for 14 hours a day because I like editing videos that much. Nope, I'm definitely not looking to do my taxes this year because, oh no, I am. Oh, I do have to pay taxes? Oh, it must be a real job then. Oh, okay, just making sure. Sorry that my job is modern. That's all I got to say. Look, Mr. Chief of Police of Bradenton, Florida, my videos are going to bring hundreds of people to buy homes, real estate, and pay taxes here in Bradenton and Sarasota. When I lived in Alabama, my videos brought hundreds of people to that state, and I'm sure that a lot of the places that I travel to helps people decide if they're going to move to those places or not. So I do consider my job to be real important, and the fact that some YouTuber decides to bribe your local police force and gets arrested for it doesn't mean that every YouTuber in Bradenton is all of a sudden not having a real job. It really hurt my emotions to hear the chief of police of Bradenton say that YouTubing isn't a real job. It was very insensitive, and I feel that... What's going on here? That's right, I'm not homeless as a YouTuber. I guess it must be a real job then, huh? Interesting. I'm paying my bills with this occupation. I'm helping hundreds of people move to this area, but no, I don't have a real job.